The Tonight Show interview was supposed to be a fun conversation about Paige DeSorbo's latest summer house season and her fashion ventures. She'd come prepared with her signature wit and relatable stories about reality TV drama. But when Jimmy asked about her relationship with Craig Conover, something in her carefully composed expression cracked. Paige sat in the blue chair, unconsciously twisting her engagement ring around her finger. She'd become a master at deflecting personal questions with humor and charm during her years in the spotlight. Tonight felt different, like the weight of almost losing everything was too heavy to keep carrying it alone. "You know, Jimmy," she began, her voice shakier than usual, "everyone thinks Craig and I have this perfect reality TV romance. But I've never talked about the night I almost threw it all away because I couldn't trust what I was seeing." Jimmy leaned forward, immediately recognizing the shift from playful banter to something much deeper. His experience hosting had taught him to sense when someone was about to share something that mattered. "What happened that night?" he asked gently. Paige took a deep breath, looking down at her hands before meeting his eyes. "I saw photos," she said simply. "Photos that made it look like Craig was cheating on me with someone from his past." The studio audience grew quiet, the energy shifting from light-hearted entertainment to something more intimate. The cameras stayed focused on her face as she gathered the courage to continue. "This was about 2 years ago, right when we were getting serious about our future. The photos came from someone I thought was a friend," Paige continued, her voice growing steadier with the telling. Screenshots of Craig at dinner with his ex-girlfriend, looking intimate, laughing together. Messages between them that seemed flirtatious when taken out of context. Jimmy's expression showed genuine concern as he listened. "How did you react when you saw them?" he asked softly. "I lost my mind," she admitted, tears beginning to form in her eyes. "I called Craig screaming, accused him of lying to me, told him we were done. I wouldn't listen to his explanations because the evidence seemed so clear." She paused, the weight of the memory clearly affecting her. "I had my bags packed that night. I was ready to move out of our place, delete every photo of us, pretend the whole relationship never happened. I was so convinced that everyone I trusted would eventually betray me." Paige continued, her voice growing quieter. "My trust issues from past relationships made me see betrayal everywhere, even where it didn't exist." The camera caught the pain in her expression as she relived that night. "Craig kept trying to call me, but I blocked his number. I told our mutual friends that he was a cheater, and they needed to pick sides." Jimmy moved from behind his desk to sit closer to her, his gesture showing support. "What was actually happening in those photos?" he asked gently. "His ex was going through a divorce," Paige explained, wiping her eyes. She'd reached out to Craig for advice because he'd been through something similar. The dinner was him being a good friend, nothing more. "But the way the photos were cropped, the way the messages were presented," she continued, her voice growing stronger with anger at the manipulation. "It told a completely different story. Someone wanted me to think he was cheating." The studio was completely silent, except for the soft sounds of people in the audience getting emotional. "How did you find out the truth, Jimmy?" "Craig showed up at my apartment the next morning," Paige said with a small smile through her tears. "He'd driven all night from Charleston to New York just to talk to me face to face. He brought his phone, showed me the full conversation threads, introduced me to his ex's divorce lawyer who confirmed the timeline," she continued. "He laid out everything, gave me complete access to prove his innocence. But the damage was done," she added, her voice breaking slightly. "I'd already shown him that I didn't trust him, that I was ready to believe the worst about him without even asking questions." Jimmy handed her a tissue from his desk. "How did that affect your relationship?" he asked. "It almost destroyed us," Paige admitted honestly. "Not because of what happened, but because of how I reacted. Craig realized he was dating someone who didn't believe in him. I had to face the fact that my past trauma was sabotaging my present happiness," she continued, tears flowing more freely. "I was so afraid of being hurt that I was hurting the person I loved most." Jimmy reached over and squeezed her hand supportively. "What did you do to rebuild that trust?" he asked. "I went to therapy," Paige said firmly. individual therapy to work on my trust issues, couples therapy to learn how to communicate when I'm triggered instead of just attacking. Craig was patient with me in ways I didn't deserve," she added, her voice full of gratitude. "He could have walked away, but he saw that my reaction came from fear, not lack of love. We established new rules for our relationship," she continued. "Complete transparency with phones, but also agreeing to have conversations before making assumptions." Jimmy turned to address the camera. "What Paige is sharing is incredibly brave. Trust issues can destroy even the strongest relationships if we don't address them. The thing is," Paige added, finding her voice as someone who'd learned hard lessons, "social media makes it so easy to create false narratives. Someone can destroy a relationship with carefully chosen screenshots." She looked directly into the camera. "If you're watching this and you're struggling with trust in your relationship, please talk to your partner before you react. Give them a chance to explain before you blow everything up. And if you're the person sharing evidence about someone's relationship," she continued with fierce determination, "ask yourself why you're really doing it. Are you helping or are you destroying?" Jimmy wiped his own eyes, clearly moved by her honesty. "How is your relationship now?" he asked. "Stronger than ever," Paige said with a genuine smile. "We're engaged, planning our wedding, and I trust him completely now. But more importantly, I trust myself to communicate instead of catastrophize. That night taught us both what we needed to work on," she continued. "Craig learned to be more mindful of how things might look to me. And I learned to trust the person I chose to love." Jimmy stood up and helped Paige to her feet. "Paige DeSorbo, everyone," he announced. "Someone who almost lost love because of fear, but chose healing instead." The audience rose in applause that felt different from typical entertainment applause. This was recognition of vulnerability, of growth, of someone who chose love over self-protection. As the show ended, Jimmy kept his arm around Paige's shoulders. "Thank you for sharing something so personal," he whispered. "You just helped a lot of people realize they're not alone in this struggle." 4 months later, Paige partnered with relationship therapists to create workshops about rebuilding trust after betrayal or miscommunication. Her program helped hundreds of couples work through similar issues. The interview segment went viral across social media platforms, with relationship experts praising her for addressing how external manipulation can destroy intimate relationships. Mental health professionals highlighted her journey as an example of healthy conflict resolution. Paige received thousands of messages from people who said her story helped them recognize their own trust patterns. Several couples credited her honesty with helping them save their relationships through communication instead of assumption. Craig publicly supported her decision to share their struggle, appearing on podcasts to discuss the male perspective on dating someone with trust issues. Their openness helped normalize relationship therapy in reality TV culture. Jimmy continued to feature relationship experts on his show, using Paige's story as a starting point for conversations about social media's impact on modern love. "That interview changed how we talk about relationships on our show," he told her at their wedding. Today, Paige speaks openly about trust and communication in relationships during interviews and on her podcast. Her message resonates with audiences who recognize their own fears in her story. The woman who almost walked away from love because of manipulated photos became an advocate for authentic communication in relationships. Sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about perfect trust, but about learning to trust again. Her engagement ring, the one she was twisting nervously that night, now represents not just Craig's love, but her own growth. Because true love isn't about never having doubts, it's about choosing to work through them together. The photos that almost destroyed everything now serve as a reminder that perception isn't always reality, and that love requires faith even when evidence suggests otherwise. Sometimes the strongest relationships are forged in the fire of almost losing everything.